When you've had persistent, nagging, chronic neck pain, it's natural to think that a scan, an MRI, or an X-ray is the thing that's going to give you answers. But what if instead it's actually making your pain worse? As a chronic pain counselor and a physical therapist, I see this all the time. The thing that was supposed to be helpful ends up causing more problems. And this happens because of 3 specific misunderstandings. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid them. The first misunderstanding happens before you've even had the scan. Take Gina, for example. She's been dealing with neck pain for a while, but lately it's gotten worse. It's disrupting her sleep, she's struggling to turn her head in the car, and she's getting more and more tension headaches. Sitting at her desk is starting to feel like Chinese water torture. So she goes to her GP, who sends her for a scan. Gina assumes that whatever shows up on that scan is going to explain her pain. Most people do. It's completely logical. You're in pain, you get a picture of the area, and the picture tells you what's wrong. But this is the first and most common misunderstanding that people have about scans. There was a massive study done by Bryn Jikajiki. I still can't say that name. If you've seen the other video, you know. Anyway, these researchers looked at the spines of people with 0 pain. People walking around completely fine. And they found disc bulges, degeneration, and other abnormal findings in the vast majority of them. The findings did climb with age, but even with people in their 20s, these findings were common. These scary sounding terms are actually just part of having a spine, much like wrinkles and grey hair. And using them to diagnose pain can be very misleading, and not at all a good indication of what's actually causing the pain. And knowing this can help you avoid the second misunderstanding, which is exactly where Gina finds herself next. So Gina gets her results back. And the problem isn't the results themselves, it's in how they're delivered. A comment tossed out without much thought from a doctor or a physio or a chiro or someone that Gina trusts, something along the lines of, yeah, that's pretty degenerated for your age, or honestly, I'm surprised you're not in more pain. Heard that one. Or what about your body's basically wearing out in that area? Heard that one from clients quite a lot. Or dismissive, there's a bit going on here. Yes, we have all heard it. And notice that none of these comments come with an actual plan. If something serious really was going on, you wouldn't be hearing these vague comments. A real concern comes with a clear next step, not a throwaway comment. These vague throwaway lines seem harmless to the person saying them, but to the recipient, they can stir up all kinds of thoughts. Thoughts that fester in the back of your mind, conjuring scary images and turning on your brain's protective instincts. And the research absolutely backs this up. A study published in the European Spine Journal split patients into 2 groups after imaging. Everyone's results were known to their doctors, but only half the patients were actually told their results. And a year later, the group who had been told their results felt significantly worse about their health, and even more worried about their pain, even though their pain and function were no different from the group who hadn't been told their result. Knowing the result didn't change their body, it changed their fear. Another study from the Journal of Pain Research found that ordinary terms like degeneration or disc bulge worried patients far more than the radiologists writing them had ever intended. The scan is just data, but what someone says about it has real effects on how the brain reacts. Poor communication plants a seed, and once that seed has been planted, it doesn't just sit there quietly. Those thoughts, images, scary words, and ideas become a story that actually change what Gina does. Which leads to the third misunderstanding. Gina starts checking constantly. Is it tight right now? Did that twinge feel different to yesterday? She finds herself thinking about her neck throughout the day, the way that you might check a wound to see if it's healing. Except that there is no wound. There's just this feeling now that she is paying far more attention to than she ever did before, backed up by these scary words and images. She's starting to avoid things. She's skipping the gym session she used to enjoy because she doesn't want to risk further damage. She's not turning her head fully to check her blind spot, even though there's no real reason that she can't, but just in case. And underneath all of that, the story is running in the background. Something's wrong with me, something's broken, there's damage in my neck. That story percolates in the background, feeding the fear, and the fear feeds the hypervigilance, and the hypervigilance feeds the story right back. Thinking you're damaged changes how you move through the world. Watching, protecting, bracing, that becomes the norm. It becomes a habit, which makes the nervous system more sensitive. And that sensitized nervous system actually creates more pain. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So how do you avoid all of this? Let's rewind. Imagine the same Gina with the same neck pain, but this time she's been watching this channel and others like it. She knows that there's more to pain than just structural issues, but she wants to be cautious. So she still goes and gets a scan. Totally the right call. However, when the report comes back with the same words, mild to moderate degeneration, X, Y, Z, maybe even the same flippant comments, it doesn't scare her. She's already read the she's already read the studies on spinal scans. She knows that these findings show up in the vast majority of people with pain-free spines. So instead of panicking, she's almost relieved. Whatever's going on, it's not something structurally serious. So she turns her attention to what's been happening in the last few months at work. She thinks about how busy it's been, how she's let her boundaries slip, answering emails late into the night, saying yes to things that she doesn't have the capacity for. And she decides, for the sake of her neck, for the sake of her body and her sanity, she starts to protect her time again. She reduces the stress and she eases up on herself. Her pain goes away completely, and it only comes back when those boundaries start to slip again. Gina's neck becomes her smoke alarm to let her know that she is holding on to stress and that she needs to do something about it. Gina didn't change her neck, she changed the story that she was telling herself about it. And the scan became a point of reassurance, not a point of fear. This version of Gina's story worked out the way it did because she understood how neck pain doesn't always come from the neck. And she did this by answering 5 simple questions, which is exactly what the next video will help you do as well. 5 questions to help you figure out, is your neck pain coming from your neck or your nervous system? Check that out next. And as always, sending you lots and lots of love, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.